message.
To Revolt Black News Weekly. I'm your host, Ebony K. Williams. Black beyond the borders. From James Baldwin in Paris to Maya Angelou in Ghana, Black Americans have long journeyed for a better life across the world. But when leaving the States, not all experiences abroad yield safe and secure treatment. In 2014, John Stephenson left America for his ecotourism dream in Pilara, Ecuador. And as those plans became a reality, his older brother, Ronell, joined by his side. But within 3 years, an American dream for two brothers with booming success in a foreign land turned into an Ecuadorian nightmare.
It's roja-john Stephenson. I'm 29 years old. I have a business administration major with a minor in sociology from Washington and Jefferson College.
Hi, my name is Ronell Stephenson. I'm 39 years old. I'm from Washington, D.C., but prior to me coming to Ecuador to be with my brother with his project, I was in Baltimore and as well in D.C. repairing homes and selling.
Excellent. So we are here today because right now you guys are serving a 34 years in prison for a crime that you did not commit. You have now served 4 years in prison, correct?
Correct. 4 going on almost 5 years in March.
Conversation, oh, we'll stay out of prison and we'll pay you, and you just admit you did it. Well, they didn't do it, so they're not going to admit guilt. Raise. How you doing, brother?
I am okay, and I'm ready to raise, of course, everybody, and I have once again been summoned by Rob and being here, Rob, to talk about this very, very important subject. My channel is about travel blogging, travel safety, and I try to do it in an entertaining way. You know, I don't want people to use this passport and end up in a situation like the brothers out in Ecuador.
Listen, wake up in the morning and I'm ready to hustle. I get a lot of inspiration from the bass and the treble. Some niggas know me as Judah and others know me as Jay. Call me another name that we just won't say. I'm always son to pops, the strongest father I know. I got my case dismissed, so now it's back to the flow. Feel the spirit surrounding me, know that it's gon' crack. And 10 beats on repeat with a Mac, perhaps. I got my game in Oakland and I was running around downtown, 17th, telegraphing now. From the tapes to the mixes, your boy done did it. Now we're planning on the best and coming up with the quickest.
Yeah, you already know. Yeah, it's a little different, like you said.
All right. What's going on, y'all? What's up, family? We are back for another episode. It is your boy GC Judah, and welcome to the channel. So before we dive in today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Stay updated on the latest and greatest of what we got going on. So today we're going to be covering the Stephenson brothers. The title is called Triumph Over Injustice. I'm going to be covering the whole story of their wrongful detainment in Ecuador and, you know, the whole case and leading up to their release. So it's going to be a jam-packed episode. Got a lot of visuals, got a lot of images. So you guys stay with me. It's going to be an open panel later on. Kind of going to want people to have a little bit of dialogue. And yeah, we're gonna get into it. It's a jam-packed one, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into the beginning. Kind of lay down exactly what started this whole thing off. Give you guys a little bit of insight on who the brothers actually are and how all this came about. So go ahead and sit tight.
I'm your host, Ebony K. Williams. Black beyond the borders. From James Baldwin in Paris to Maya Angelou in Ghana, Black Americans have long journeyed for a better life across the world. But when leaving the States, not all experiences abroad yield safe and secure treatment. In 2014, John Stephenson left America for his ecotourism dream in Pilara, Ecuador. And as those plans became a reality, his older brother, Ronell, joined by his side. But within 3 years, an American dream for two brothers with booming success in a foreign land turned into an Ecuadorian nightmare. Their revolution to gain justice and freedom is tonight's prime story.
What I learned from this experience is being a Black man, the first question anyone asks me that's Ecuadorian is, where are you from? And I'll say, I'm American. And their response will be like, no, you must be Haitian. There's already a stigma being a Black man traveling.
From Ivy League to incarceration, John, with his brother Ronell at his side, spoke to us about what they say is a wrongful conviction and a 34-year sentence that started with a tainted arrest.
Around 4 or 5 in the morning, our door gets bust in. One set of gentlemen in ski masks with large guns yelling, everybody get on the floor, get on the floor, get on the floor. The prosecutor says, you know why I'm here, you know why I'm here. Tell me why I'm here. I said, I do not understand why you are here on my property. I haven't even seen a warrant. We see 50 or 60 indigenous Shuar that are from the Tawasip community roaming throughout our property, when we later come to find out that they were on the property since 3 in the morning, 2 hours prior to the police arriving to serve the warrant. One of the members of the Tawasip community comes and punches me in the face.
2 dead bodies were buried on the Stephenson's 125-acre property, which they believe members of the indigenous Shuar tribe nefariously planted. But why? The Stephenson brothers not only see their American nationalities as lawful impositions, but their Blackness as overall obstructions.
When we testify on the stand in front of the judges' own words is, what is 2 Black Americans doing here in Ecuador?
I think I visited at least 6 or 7 indigenous communities. When they had festivals, they would invite us. It was a friendly atmosphere. When we would leave, certain people from the community would come back and say to us, like, hey, people are leery of your presence. What is a young Black man doing here? How does he have the capability to own this type of property?
At the very beginning, the case was handed around to several different prosecutors. At the onset, that's a red flag to me.
Attorney Jason Poblet is president of Global Liberty Alliance, an organization committed to combating violations of fundamental rights throughout the world. He's helped Americans out of Iran and Cuba, and he feels what happened with rapper A$AP Rocky in the summer of 2019 needs to happen with the Stephenson brothers.
During the Trump administration, A$AP Rocky had been arrested in Sweden, and President Trump dispatched the special presidential envoy to Sweden. If we're going to do it for A$AP Rocky in Sweden, how can we not do it for John and Ronell, who are in Ecuador, in our own hemisphere, in a place that's a lot more dangerous?
But time is of the essence. First, because of a backlog court docket.
According to Ecuadorian counsel, we're supposed to be given some guidance from the court, at least a decision by the which level of government will take this over. And hopefully we'll have a favorable decision on the petition to revise the sentence, and then allow us to get in there and to argue all the technical issues that were not argued at trial.
Which they claim, if proved timely, DNA evidence would fully exonerate them. But more imminently of concern are the Stephenson brothers' safety in prison.
Last month, 100 people were killed in Ecuadorian prisons. 10 of those people were reportedly beheaded. They had a cellmate recently that had an AK-47, and the cops don't do anything.
While the prison system in this country is atrocious, the most important thing is that Americans are aware of our situation.
And with that, we bring in our panel. Joining us is Ronell and John Stephenson's father, Robert Stephenson, investigative YouTuber who's extensively reported on the Stephenson brothers' story, Rob Christian. Welcome.
All right, y'all. Yeah, so just a little bit of an intro to who the brothers were. I know that was a lot, but we're going to get into more detail too. I have a lot of visuals and slides to kind of walk us through this whole story, but you guys kind of got the gist of it. So basically, the 2 brothers, roja-john and Ronell. For Roja, we're just gonna call him John. That's a second part of his first name. So John and Ronell, as you guys can see in this slide, they're two brothers. They're from the DC area, and they had went to Ecuador to do I think it was ecotourism, and they had bought land out there. They had a farm, and basically what happened was there's an indigenous tribe that's out in Ecuador that pretty much set them up to be arrested and detained. And this is like pretty much the meat and bones of the whole story. But I think what was really crazy was just the inaction on the United States in general, and just how Ecuador's court system really was. And yeah, it was pretty shocking, you guys. This case, I didn't really hear about. This is going on from 2017 was when all of this occurred, so it's been a while. But the brothers had been in Ecuador since 2014. So it had been a while. They had did their homework on scouting out the land and everything. But yeah, pretty much a nightmare, if you guys could expect. You know, anybody being in that situation, especially two black men, you know, it was something that really stuck out to me. And that's definitely what we want to cover tonight. But before we get into like the next video, I want to show you guys the family of the Stephensons. So this is John and Ronell, that's his dad. You know, other family members as well. So he comes from a very, very good family. And what really happened to his brothers was something that was just really crazy. But I definitely want to get into more context. So I have a lot of visuals queued up for you guys to kind of give more of an insight. And before we get into everything, I want to give a major shout out to DC Born Rob. He really covered a lot of this stuff, and I really got most of what I knew from him. The brother was on this case from like the very beginning. I think once he got wind of what was going on with them, and he really fought really hard, you know, to secure their release and everything. And he was really hand in hand with the actual father of the brothers. So again, kudos to him. You're going to be seeing a lot of him throughout the episode. I have a lot of other prominent YouTubers that are also going to be in this as well. So you're going to see some familiar faces of people you're going to know. But yeah, to kick it off, we're going to go ahead and get into the first visual. So you guys sit tight. This is going to be a very jam-packed episode, and I'm a little excited to share with you guys what I uncovered. So sit tight.
Done. I appreciate you helping us to get the word out about the brothers. Okay, they have been languishing in prison since 2017, since they were accused of double murder, double homicide in Ecuador, solely because 2 bodies were found on their 125-acre property. And the rest of it is just a whirlwind of confusion and ineptitude. Just the lack of, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about their government or the process or anything, but let's just say it's been said that they are pretty corrupt. And then
I say about 7 o'clock, the prosecutor comes in. The prosecutor comes in, and then I'll allow my brother to speak this part because he understood the Spanish.
So the prosecutor at the time comes in, and he asked me, "Do you know why I'm here?" And I said, "No, I'm not sure exactly why you're here. I don't even know what's going on." He says, "You know why I'm here?" I said, "No, I don't know why you're here." He said, "Well, we had an anonymous tip that you guys had drugs and firearms on your property, and we found marijuana, so we're arresting you at this time." So at this point, I'm letting my brother know that they're going to arrest us because they found marijuana. And so they handcuff us. They start taking us outside, and a mob of indigenous people run up to us. They put my brother into the police car. Well, it was a white pickup truck that they were using as a police car, I should say. I'm still standing outside. The prosecutor keeps trying to ask me, "Do you know why I'm here? Do you know why I'm here?" I said, "No, I don't know why you're here." At this time, one of the indigenous comes up to me and assaults me.
how can we benefit you as this collective, as this group right here?
Okay. The thing that can be done now, and this is something Jason from Global Liberty is trying to do. He is asking for all the attorneys or the attorneys who have gotten involved in the case in Ecuador to generate anywhere from a 3-page to a 4-page document citing the constitutional law and the criminal rules of procedure that the courts completely ignored to arrive at the decision that they have arrived at in terms of the finding them guilty.
At this point, they rushed me also into the pickup truck where my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, was also handcuffed in the back of the truck. They rush us off the property. As they're rushing us off the property, the police are saying to me, "You guys know you guys are lucky. We saved your life. These indigenous would have killed you. They would have."
Now they still own property in DC as well. The family does. They moved to Ecuador. The youngest, Roger, to open an eco-tourism business, which means he had 125 acres, which is a lot of land. They had cows, dogs, chickens, you name it. They had all different types of animals. They had all different types of fruits and vegetables, pitaya. They had peppers. They had just signed an agreement with a pepper company to grow the peppers there for that company. So they were thriving. They had 4 houses on this property. Roger moved down in 2014 after he completed college and graduated. He moved down first. They had, again, 125 acres. His dad helped him get the property. His dad helped him work on the property to get it to where it is right now. It had some smaller buildings on the property, but what they did was just build up the structures to be almost like homes.
Killed you. And I said, "Why would they have killed you?" And they said, "You should know why." At this point, I also explained that the prosecutor never read us our rights. They said we were being arrested for possession of marijuana, all 3 of us, myself, my brother, and my wife. At this point, they did not notify us that they had found dead bodies on the property. We were not translated our rights. We were not given our rights. I explained to him that my brother does not speak Spanish. He did not take heed of this. He did not care. It was not an issue to him. He could not explain to us why these indigenous were on our property. He basically just said, "You guys are being arrested. You guys know what you did. We're getting you out of here."
They just did a video with ASD Docs, and outstanding video, by the way. I even learned something. It went on almost an hour and a half.
And took us off the property.
What was the prosecutor's name?
Sebastian Pacheco, Rodriguez Pacheco.
He's the one that got disbarred, correct?
Yes, he got disbarred after the fact for his actions on our property.
He was disbarred for what he did in our case, as well as what he's done in other cases. But our case was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, so you guys hearing that pretty wild stuff that's going on with these brothers, you know, and this is just setting the stage for the beginning of the case, you know, how they ended up within the Ecuadorian, you know, jail system, right? Obviously, this was something that, you know, shouldn't have happened. They didn't do anything wrong. You know, I'll go ahead and show a slide of the property of how their actual farm looked. You know, this was the land that they had, and their dad would come out and help them, you know, and it was just pretty unfortunate stuff. I couldn't even imagine being somewhere, you know, in their case, not knowing the language fully to be able to get out of not just trouble, but to be able to explain yourself properly to let people know what's going on, you know. So I'm sure there was a lot of emotions involved, and it was a really scary time for them. But I want to also get into the second video that we have. It's going to kind of add more context into, you know, the whole arrest and just more of the challenges that the brothers had faced during this whole ordeal. So go ahead and sit tight, you guys.
We need somebody to do a story, and this is, you know, after the fact, after these guys are home, there's got to be a movie about this. This is so unreal.
Now, this is the part that is crazy with this, because these are the facts that came out in trial. The victim's father, our friend Hiru, says that he was on the property 2 hours to 3 hours prior to the police arriving with family members with shovels, right? Now, when the police came there, they never told us that they were looking for dead bodies. They said they're looking for drugs and guns. We were originally charged with guns and drugs. We did not get charged with murder of the two gentlemen until 5 to 6 days later. Why? In this country, when the prosecutor does not have evidence of a crime, a family member of the victim or a close relative or friend of the victim can bring a case against you.
Why fault him? Because he wants to travel, because he wants to have a better life. And Roger, that was his dream. What's wrong with having a dream to move to Ecuador?
While my hands were handcuffed behind my back and 2 police officers held my arms.
Was he reprimanded? Was he arrested for assaulting you?
No, not at all. The police just told him to step back, and they loaded me up into the pickup truck and took us off the property and said we should be thankful that they saved our lives.
What happened next?
From there, the town that we live in is Pelora, and that's where the local police precinct and prosecutor's office is. But they did not take us there. They decided to take us an hour and a half away to another city called Macas. And so we're in a police car for an hour and a half driving, believing that we're being arrested on marijuana charges, haven't been read our rights, don't know what's going on, don't understand why people are on my property, just running amok. We finally get to Macas. I'm asking them what's going on. Can I get a phone call? And for being denied our phone call, they said, first we need to finish writing our statements. At this time, the SWAT team that was there, they wrote their statements, and the head of the SWAT team wrote a statement, and the police that were not on the property at the time of the raid came in and copied his statement and filled in their names. From there, I continued insisting that we needed a phone call. We needed to talk to the embassy to let them know that what was going on. And this was a Saturday. So about after 2.5 hours of insisting, they finally said, you can call the embassy. I reached out to the embassy. I called them. I said, hey, I've just been arrested with my brother. We're in Macas, Ecuador right now. We don't know what's going on. We haven't been read our rights. Can you guys provide us a translator? We're not understanding what's occurring right now. They said the best they can do for us at the time is they can notify our family of what is going on, and they will make note that 2 Americans have been detained. But at that time, the prosecutor nor anyone else in the government of Ecuador had notified them that they were arresting American citizens. So there was not anything else that the U.S. Embassy could do at the time.
Pretty corrupt. 3-judge panel. 2 an indigenous. The vote was 2 to 1 to convict them for double murder. They were also charged with guns, military-style guns, and drugs. Both of those charges got dropped. The guns, by the way, couldn't even fire. They were both antique guns. So that was just a pretext to get them on the farm to be able to. And the family showed up. Okay, so here's just to recap again. They were there thriving for 3 years. Mother and father just left the country within like a month or so ago. After that, which is like February, March 2017, the family of 2 young boys alerted the police that the bodies, that their kids were missing, that their son was missing and the son's cousin was missing. This was a month prior. A month later, they approached the farm at 3 a.m. in the morning, and this is right after they put out some sort of warrant. The families down there can actually swear out a warrant against somebody saying that they had guns and drugs on the property. That was their pretense to get on the property. The whole family, dozens and dozens of these people are out on the farm at 3 a.m. And again, I don't know where you live, but 3 a.m. in any place I've ever been is dark. in the jungle, mind you. So there's dozens and dozens of people are creeping around in the jungle. They brought shovels. Why would they bring shovels? They had access to the property. I mean, it's not like it had a fence around it. They could have come. They knew John Roger. They could have knocked on the door and said, hey, have you seen our son? Have you seen our nephew? But they did not. This was their pretext to get on the property. So they showed up with shovels and they found 2 bodies in the same hole. By the way, the dirt that was in the mouth of the people who were found, the bodies that were found, was different from the dirt where they were buried. So, okay, let's put this 2 together. So as soon as I first heard that, I'm like, wait a minute. They showed up with shovels. The dirt in the mouth was different from where they were actually buried right there. They had little poke wounds on them. And once you do research, a lot of it is tribal, but you need to do research on this. Just do due diligence. Don't take my word for it 100%. I mean, no one can take anybody's word for it 100%. You have to read into the story. You have to look at the details. You have to read the judge's decision. I read the judge's decision. I sat up here and I hate reading. And I hate reading small print and pages and pages and pages. But I scrolled through this and I was here till midnight one night reading through this. And I'm going, where's the evidence?
So that was DC Born Rob talking about, the lack of evidence. And what this is sounding like, you guys, and I'm sure, a lot of you guys have figured out by now, this was a kangaroo court style case where, you're talking about 2 brothers getting framed, right, for something that they definitely didn't do. And they're serving a considerable amount of jail time or facing a considerable amount of jail time because of, an injustice. This tribal group, the Shuar, basically went on the property, got the police to show up and got them pretty much forcefully removed from the property. And then they went in and pretty much just had their way and, destroyed everything. And the whole time, the brothers, not knowing the language, not understanding any kind of Spanish, weren't able to have, any rights, weren't able to have, proper representation. They weren't read their rights, and they pretty much were left to kind of fend for themselves in Ecuadorian jail, which if you could imagine being overseas in a country where, there's a higher risk of danger or even death, it had to be something out of hell, and this is pretty much like basically the scene that we're setting up for the story at this point. The brothers are already in jail. I think the father was already trying to figure out ways to be able to help. There's a little bit of word that's getting out, but they're still kind of on their own. I'm gonna go ahead and show a slide of how the property looked after everything occurred, and you can kind of see from this visual, it's kind of run down. They got raided. They pretty much broke things. They had surveillance cameras that were on the property that got taken. They had livestock that got killed. Mostly everything that was in there was stolen. Their passports weren't with them when they were taken by the police, and there was nothing that was saved that could show what happened because the cameras got taken before everything was destroyed and burnt down. So you're just getting a glimpse of how orchestrated this was, that happened to the Stephenson brothers. And it's just really a sad situation, you guys. It was really a lot. Like, I had a hard time processing some of the stuff that I read when I was looking up the story and doing my homework. It's really crazy. And I think this will have a good stopping point in the story. Sometimes when you're not familiar with an area and you're somewhere in another country, you can be at a disadvantage in these kind of situations. Like, knowing them, even though they had spent time being around, the locals, and they were growing vegetables and products on the farm. They did a little bit of research in like how the environment was, and they were talking to some of the locals, like it still wasn't enough. And you still had a group of people that felt a certain way about their success or just about their whole presence of them being there. Like they necessarily didn't do anything wrong. It was just the fact that they, were there. They were Americans. I don't want to say that them being black 100% was a reason. I know it played a reason in it, but I think it was more so them being Americans, being in another country and being prosperous, which was why they got targeted how they did. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into the next video that's going to add some more context. We have their father, Mr. Robert Stephenson, who was just really, really like hands-on throughout this whole process of dealing with his son's case. And when I tell you, like, this was one of the reasons why I really got connected to the story, you know, when it comes to being Black, you know, and me as a Black male, I can speak about this. You know, I had my father around for pretty much all of my childhood up into my adult years, and the kind of fathers that kind of go to bat for you in a sense and really protect you. You don't see a lot of that in the Black community. And when I say that his father, Mr. Stephenson, was like really adamant about getting his sons out, like this man didn't stop. Like he was on it. And, you know, it's not common to see that within an American, you know, Black system. We all know, you know, sometimes you get the single family stories, you get, you know, where the mom kind of has to take reins, and, you know, rarely do we see a Black father doing everything that he can to get his sons home. And you're going to see a lot of that in the story. And this is something that really caught my eye. Not just, you know, also, obviously them being, you know, accosted and everything, that was important, but just, you know, the system that they had of support, because he was like really the only one outside of, you know, the supporters and the YouTubers that were like really boots on the ground trying to figure it out for them. You know, like it was a lot. V Swells Primo, what's going on? I see you, man. Appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate everybody for stopping by, watching the episode. We're gonna have a live panel later, but I just have all of these visuals I kind of want to get out for you guys so you guys can understand the full gravity of the story, because there's a lot more that's not being added for context. And you know, it's really important that you guys get the full brevity, you know, the full scope of what happened. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the fourth video, sorry. So you guys stay tuned.
Is considered what they use here colonial. That 20% of colonial is in political power. And they are doing a lot of under the table dirty business. And I think that is the reason why the victim's father had them intimidated, because he knows their track record. That here it is, they didn't take money from us, but he knows who they have taken money from.
Interfering in their rights. So it's not just that they've been wronged for a crime they didn't commit. Their investment, their livelihood, like you said, the Tabasco agreement, these men slowly, they were building a business, and they've interfered with that. They also interfered with their property, destroyed their land. Ecuador is supposed to be keeping that property in trust for them. I hope they are, but if they don't, they will be held to account at the right time.
You see what I'm saying? And they would lose their jobs and tax. You can get a lockup here much faster for tax invasion than murder, because in this country, once they find out that you are have political power and you're stealing money, they're coming for you. They want to lock you up fast. Boom, boom.
But right now, we got to bring Ronell home. He needs care here. Roja needs to come here. They're not safe down there.
Right.
A prison in Ecuador, folks. I mean, prisons are bad no matter what, but that place is horrible. They kill people. They behead people. I've seen video of men having their hearts removed from their body alive.
And again, I don't want nobody involved in Brazil or anywhere else to get the impression that I'm not telling you to travel, but I'm telling you to be organized, because people are suspicious, jealous of Americans, and they also are doubly jealous of you all. So I tell y'all two things: be on your best behavior wherever you are, but also be organized. Register to vote. Because if you were to come to me and you tell me you're not registered to vote, I can't do nothing for you. I really can't. It's very difficult to do anything for you. Mm-hmm. See, when I call these Congress people up, first thing they ask me, are they registered to vote? And I assume they are. But this is what happened. Mm-hmm. You have to do this. That's why I'm just emphasizing to you all. I don't want you all to get the impression, my dear brother, get your passport. I don't want to knock. I want African Americans to travel all over the world. But know that there's a lot of jealousy, know that there's a lot of envy, know that there's suspicion. But if you're organized and carry yourself right, you should let the embassy know, the consulate know where you are. Because I tell you who else knows where you are.
Every single president in this country has to run from this country, because as soon as they lose the election, they say that they were stealing money, that they're corrupt. So the Morona, Santiago, Macas region needs to be investigated. The 3 judges that was on our trial need to be investigated. The prosecutor that did the murder trial needs to be investigated. The head of the judge's office in Morona, Santiago needs to be investigated. The Sebastian Rodriguez, who was the original prosecutor, needs to be investigated. Stalin Samarenda, who is the father of the victim, he is known for Sansas, which is known for chopping heads and shrinking it and selling it to American museums and European museums. This man needs to be investigated, because throughout our legal process, he has contaminated, manipulated, and intimidated the whole process.
I cannot unsee that. I cannot unsee that. I have seen some horrible, horrible things in my life in the human rights work that we do. And this right here, what these men are living through, it's a horrible trauma, because they've been wrongly accused. And then on top of that, you have to live looking over your shoulder every single day. And now Ronell, of course, is battling stage 4 cancer. So I hope State Department people are watching. I hope you're going to act. And I hope you know we're going to stay here until you do act.
Well, that's all I had to say, Rob. Jason, God bless you for your work, man. Not to make this a racial issue, but there's so many people out there that just don't give a damn about Black folks out there. And I can see the passion and your involvement in this. And I just want to personally thank you.
Well, Strill, I mean, I thank you for your comments. Look, I hope it's not about race. Let me tell you this. Now, I was raised not to look at race. That's the way my family raised me, and I believe that's the way we all are. We're all Americans. We all got to help each other out. But I got to tell you, in Latin America, if you're a Black American.
Yeah. So basically, he was in hospital for cancer. I was treated for cancer, and it's supposed to be the best hospital in Ecuador. It's a private hospital. And after he got his 3rd chemo, before they could have started the 4th chemo, that he was diagnosed with COVID. And so they treated him for the COVID. And shortly after he showed negative with COVID, and they were going to start back his chemo, he was diagnosed with TB.
So these terrorist groups know where you are. And the CIA knows where you are. And the FBI knows where you are. So all of those people, all of this can work to your advantage if you all, those of you in Brazil, African Americans in Brazil, y'all should be organized. The African Americans in Ecuador, be organized. Then when we come for you, we can tell you an organized group of people, and then we can start putting pressure on other people, because these people are organized people. And I think, Mr. Stephenson, there is a group of expatriates that is beginning to do that in Ecuador. And I heard that that's happening in Colombia.
Yeah.
I'm working on a case even in Nicaragua. And we've been able to have some good relationships with Nicaragua to help get somebody out of jail there. So, all I'm saying, as you travel, understand you're not an individual. You're part of a group. And I took on this case not because I have any political connection. I don't even know you. Again, I respect so much DC Born Rob. First, I was watching the show for entertainment purpose until I saw the case of the Stephenson brothers. And the other case in Colombia, I haven't forgotten that case. And we're going to continue to put pressure on the United States government and the Colombian government to bring criminal prosecution against the murderer in Barranquilla.
Contaminated evidence, intimidated judges, and has destroyed evidence. He's on video on the farm with his family, destroying evidence. He's on video confessing that he does not know when his son went missing. He's on video saying all of the damages done to his son's body before autopsy was done. This man needs to be investigated.
And also, eventually, Interpol is going to get this criminal down in Ecuador. I guess I won't travel to Ecuador, but that criminal is going. We expect to come to Ecuador and bring those young men home.
I will be in Ecuador. I've always wanted to go to Ecuador. I'm not going until the brothers are free. I told them I will be there when they are released. When you mentioned the group, I put my scroller up, a ticker at the bottom to remind people to join our group in Colombia, but that's for Colombia. I encourage everybody to travel. I don't care what color. Even the racist people who are here in this country need to travel to understand that there is more than just.
It broadens your world. But you see, but travel, if you're in the Philippines, be organized in the Philippines. If you're in Guam, be organized, because it's always good. Isn't it something? I'm going to shut up after this. An Irishman who hadn't been to County Cork in 200 years would tell you he's an Irishman. Now, you haven't been there because he identifies as Irishman. People identify around nation states. And therefore, don't think the Irish embassy won't help that person or put pressure on that. We know that there's another group in this country. If one of our citizens, who not even one of our dual citizens, they're protected. So let us stop being immature. Go and have fun, but be organized so bad things won't happen to you. Because let me tell you something, strong people are not attacked. Weak people are attacked. Now,
Yep. That was definitely true words spoken by the Iman. And you guys saw the panel of everybody kind of getting together and rallying around, the Stephenson brothers case and everything. And just to give you guys some more insight too, they had petitions going. There was a large effort to try to get the brothers released, but again, a lot of this didn't get traction in the States. I think for some reason it just wasn't in the main media. I don't even remember hearing about their story. And you got to remember, it's been about a few years since they were inside of the prison system. So this whole time, these brothers are fighting, literally for their freedom, right? Like they have people, wearing shirts. The dad is still doing groundwork. You have all of these different systems in place that are trying to raise awareness for them. Like they even had an Instagram page that was called Justice, Ecuador, that they had to literally push out, to be able to get the word out about what was going on and what they were facing, and this whole time, just the U.S. government's inaction to do anything for them just spoke volumes. Like Ecuador, in a sense, I kind of got, why they would be so sluggish to kind of move, and again, I think some of the people within that Ecuadorian court system probably understood that because there was no evidence that could really tie the brothers to the deaths of those two bodies from the indigenous tribe. Like they kind of knew that, it was just like a dead case or a dead effort. But instead of doing the right thing, right, and releasing them and letting them go about their way and absolving them of any crime, they're left to languish and just horrible conditions inside the jail system. As you guys heard, there was a riot, people were dying. Some people that they knew, like close friends, roommates were like, killed. And it was just a really just harrowing ordeal. And I'm going to give some more of my thoughts later in the episode on like just takeaways that I feel like could have been applied to like anybody who's traveling, and then we'll open up the panel for a little bit if anybody wants to hop on later on. But for right now, I want to go ahead and run an interlude. So you guys go ahead and sit tight, and then we'll get back into the rest of the episode. So
and now I got it. The shit's chess, it ain't checkers. Son, this is the game. I'm playing his ass. That's my job.
All right, y'all. Yeah, this is something a little funny at the end. You know my style, but that was our new merch that I just dropped for the YouTube store. So that one, we have mugs, we have backpacks, cool little slogans, you know, the salute symbol. We have another shirt, it's called On Point. You know, there's something that I kind of took and kind of made custom. A lot of the stuff is going to be a limited release, so definitely get you a shirt, get your hoodie. You know, whatever you see on there that you see fit. We have men's, women's. We got something for everybody. And then also too, we have the channel membership. If you guys want to sign up, there's loyalty badges, there's emojis, members only content that'll be coming soon. You can get a one-on-one with me every month if you want to talk about whatever. You know, engaging on social media with me. Definitely check that out. You just got to hit that join button at the bottom near my name on the channel. You can go ahead and check that out. There's another video on there that kind of lays everything out, so it gives you a more of a thorough, you know, kind of insight to what's going on. But we working you guys for 2024. I told y'all I was gonna start the year hard, and we was gonna have some more content, and I definitely want to deliver. And I appreciate everybody for rocking and just staying with me through this. But yeah, let's go ahead and get back into this incredible story with the Stephenson brothers that we're kind of walking through. So, and again, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Without you guys, I can't do it. Your support means everything, and I appreciate every sub, every like, every view you guys make this channel. But yeah, so we're gonna get back into the story about the Stephenson brothers. The next couple videos are just going to be add more, you know, context to the brothers' push now to try to raise awareness to get the Ecuadorian government to act and to get the United States to do more to get the brothers the justice that they need. Because you remember, you guys, this whole time they're still inside of the jail system. I think Ronell had health issues, and you know, talking about colon issues and stuff, losing weight, you know, any of the things that normally would happen when you're in an unfavorable environment, especially prison, and you're talking about in a whole other country where, you know, the care isn't adequate or there is no care. You know, you're talking about prisoners running, you know, the jail system. So in terms of trying to get actual care that Americans like we would take for granted, they didn't have any of that at all, you know. And you're thousands of miles away from home, you know, your family's still worried about you, friends are still worried about you, you know. And it's just, again, I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine at all. And it's just crazy how, you know, not just the YouTube community came together, but just the local footwork that had to happen, and people behind the scenes who none of us got to see, who, you know, weren't named, didn't have faces, that came through for the brothers and helped secure their eventual freedom. But let's go ahead and get back into it, you guys. Got some more visuals for you, so stay tuned.
Ronell was feeling ill. He felt ill for a couple of weeks. It was real bad. They would say, oh, it's a parasite. Take a pill, take a pill. And he just knew, you know, something wasn't right. And I think he lost like 20 pounds in a couple of weeks, or 20 pounds in a week.
Yes.
And, yeah. And so he was looking pretty bad. So it was, without saying how he got out of the prison, he had to, I mean, it was almost like a suspense movie. They actually got him to get out to be seen. When he finally got seen outside of the prison, they said it was his appendix. Was that
yes.
what they said? Appendix first, and then they said, we need to take your appendix out. I think they took the appendix out and said, whoa, there's something behind it. And there was a growth, and they found it was cancer. And it is stage 4?
Stage 4.
Stage 4 cancer. Can you believe this? So this is why he was taken out of that prison and put in a hospital. Now, Roger has since moved to another prison too. And blessings, yes, because this is a better prison. Where they were, I mean, I've seen video of last year's riots, and I wish I could unsee it. But Oblet, who is the attorney for the Global Liberty Alliance, I said it right for the first time, the second, third, fourth, fifth time, all in one. So I hope we have some questions for you. How are you, Jason? I think your mic is muted.
So Rob, how are you doing? Thanks for having me. That was a great listening to this fellow about his experience, and it's pretty common. A lot of times, most Americans, when they travel, they have no idea that for the most part they are alone. And thank you for what you do. It's fantastic what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Since you are on, and I guess the dad will join us in a minute, I want to ask you for an update that you can update everybody on what's, let's say for the last couple of months anyway, what's been going on up until now.
Well, here in Washington, what we've been laser focused on is ensuring that the special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, Roger Carson's, who's a great man, he's a good fellow, he has a great team over at the State Department, that this case of the Stephenson brothers be assigned to him. Frankly, it's very late. As you know, we've talked a lot about this. And for some bizarre reason, it's still languishing in this bureaucratic back and forth. And it's not uncommon in these cases to have this happening. You have different parts of the State Department, different parts of the government, either because of ineptitude or because they're too slow. We really don't know.
I can't. So safety-wise, Roja is in a better place. But I wanted to fill in that gap that what happened from the video you just saw until, yes, he has cancer right now. And as you say, last week or a few weeks ago, he wasn't doing well at all. And we may have lost him. So first thing I'm asking from my viewers is, are your prayers for both brothers and for their vindication and to get rid of this case. All they want is a fair trial. That's all they want is a fair trial from the outside.
They just haven't done that. And it's a very special department inside the State Department. It's rather new. It's been around for maybe 3 or 4 years in its full capacity. And now there's a law in place called the Stephenson law, which we've talked a lot about, and that empowers these officials to do certain things that in the past could have been done, but were not being done. And we want that happening here in this case. We want this case escalated. We want President Lasso. We want all those politicians in Ecuador to know we're going to bring the brothers home and they're going to be held to account for this injustice that they've committed to these men. And also we will find out at some point what happened here. Ultimately, there's a lot of lawyers in Ecuador that feel terrible about what has happened, and they're helping us. They're volunteering. They're giving their time. They're providing us testimony. They're giving us affidavits. We're collecting evidence from people on the ground, listening to folks who have firsthand knowledge about what may or may not have happened there. So it's almost as if we're restarting. We've only been involved with this. The Global Liberty Alliance has only been involved with this for months.
So we're asking everybody who will listen, the Ecuadorian embassy, the American embassy, the representatives here who are dragging their feet. We have Jason with the Global Liberty Alliance who's helping. There are so many people that are coming to their aid, but it hasn't moved the needle.
I will feel so accomplished. This is why I do what I do. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
and Rob, everyone here that is in this live right now that is participating, talking about this, we all have massive hearts. You know what I mean? And how could you not? Hearing their story, this could have happened to me when I was in Chiapas. And who's gonna save me? Nobody. I'm by myself. There's no Americans there. You know what I mean? It really just clicked right then and there. I'm like, whoa, it is a wake up call. The rest of the drive, I was just looking around. You know what I mean? So this happens, and it could happen to you. It can happen to anyone.
To help these men, I can't understand why it is taking so long for the Maryland delegation, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, everybody in Congress to help these men. We just spent $40 billion, invested $40 billion in Ukraine, and we can't spend even a few, who knows how much, to help these men. And by the way, to give you some context, there's roughly about 60 Americans right now unlawfully imprisoned or held hostage in foreign countries. We believe that number is much higher, and there's a report that's supposed to come out soon and that will detail a lot of that. The Stephenson brothers must be on that list. But more important than being on the list, Rob, is to get our government to go down there and tell President Lasso the process has been put in place. So we've tried to obey the Ecuadorian legal system. We've paid it a lot of respect. You know this. The brothers have gone on your show and talked about this. Why haven't they followed their own laws?
Basically, and I definitely agree with the attorney's final feelings with that. And again, you guys, it's frustrating how much coverage what was shed on this, and then what wasn't shed on this. AD Doss's coverage was amazing. he initially started off everything, DC Born Rob took it over, and brought other people into play and raised awareness. But still, this whole time, it's kind of like the efforts are not, I don't want to say futile, but it's just feeling like it's not, doing a lot, because you still have a government that's just inadequate, doesn't want to act, just doesn't really care that there's 2 Americans who were just unjustly detained and just jailed, and it's just, like I said, again, it's a nightmare. And just, I want to say, sheer luck, and just the fact that people just didn't give up and were relentless in securing their release is how this all happened. Because you got to think how many Americans that we don't know about that face similar things, or that get jailed, right, unjustly, or for trumped up charges, right, for things that they didn't do or got set up, that we don't hear about, and then that percentage who is minorities or of color, I couldn't imagine, so this was definitely a very kind of unicorn type, rare case that kind of played out that we're seeing here, and I definitely feel like if it wasn't for, again, the parents and the support system that the brothers had, I think it would have been a different story. The fact that they had to smuggle, cell phones and have internet connection within the jails, where they were like doing recordings while they were in prison. You guys, like they're still, taking pictures and showing the world their detainment, like again, they're running a whole Instagram page in prison. I don't know how many of you guys have had family members who were locked up, doing a hard time, or if you've, been in jail, but smuggling, phones and stuff is considered contraband. And if you get caught, you could literally, if you're looking at a sentence reduction, have your sentence like trumped up, or just be in a situation where, you're just on 24-hour lockdown or complete isolation. So, the brothers were just in, very high stakes risk in these countries. And, I want to say by, maybe about the 2nd or 3rd year of them being in, like there's, the bilingual part that comes in, because they can finally, both speak Spanish and be able to, translate to, their legal team what's going on, and actually figure out what is being said and how they can best go about it. And I don't want to bring up the argument of, I know a lot of us on the travel channels talk about how it's not really a factor when you learn the language, but this situation being here is like learning the language of the land would have put them at an advantage to at least understand what's going on and to have a better fight for their freedom. Not going to say that, hey, 100% they wouldn't have gotten to what they got into. Doesn't matter what language you learn. You can know Spanish, you can know French, you can know Portuguese. It's not going to stop you from getting in trouble. It's not going to stop people from targeting you. It's not going to, not get you, potentially injured or whatever, being a foreigner or a gringo. It just gives you more of a sense of knowing what's going on. And that's always been my argument since day one. When I talk to you about it, you just want to know, and we'll get into that more later, because there's a lot that I want to unpack in that, but I definitely want to finish having the visuals for you guys so we can kind of get full circle on the story. So you guys stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and roll the next one.
On the property, they had a club that had ethnic activities geared towards the indigenous. They did everything that they were supposed to be. I think it was an issue of that he was so popular, Roger, he could have run for mayor. That's how popular he was. So believe they did due diligence before they went down. And I'm not saying that Ecuador is bad. I did a video not too long ago about Ecuador. There's a lot of people in Ecuador that love Ecuador. There's a lot of Afro-Americans, a lot of Afro-Ecuadorians that are there too. There is a group, and I had hoped that Miguel would come on, Mr. Stephenson. There is a group of individuals down there that are assisting the brothers, that have helped with medication and running around and all kind of stuff. And they haven't been in the limelight, but we are thankful to them. They have done a lot. So,
in place in Ecuador, they are emulating the same things that the cartel of Mexico and Colombia do. They're trying to get a complete control of the drug trade and the selling of the drugs. So within the prisons, if one person die on the street, 15 people die inside of here. And then all of the 15 people that died are not, let's say, gang members. It's just you're on the wrong unit. You live in the wrong cell. So, for example, if you're in our cell, if you look at our cell right now, I'll give you a glimpse of our cell. This is bed 1, this is bed 2, right? And then as you look up, there's 4 more beds. So there's 6 people per cell, right? So if I'm an enemy of someone, I cause the life of everyone in the cell. So when the people come in for me, they just don't kill me. They kill everyone in the cell who don't have anything to do with it.
And off of what you just said, some people might say, why would the brothers go out to Ecuador anyway? Because Ecuador is a place where tourists like to go. I have a couple of people in my inner circle that have been to Ecuador recently. But I wanted to say, Mr. Stephenson, I know this is very, very hard for you. And that's why we need to move fast on trying to get the brothers out, because I found this article, and this article is from May 9th, 2 days ago, from Ecuador. Now, I don't know what prison the brothers are in. I know one has been moved because of the whole cancer issue. But this says from Alerta Pesa, at least 43 dead in new prison riot in Ecuador. It's from 2 days ago, right? And it's from the riot took place in the Bella Vista prison, province of Santo Domingo de los Sachilas. All right, when 2 criminal gangs clashed. So this is not a matter of just 2 brothers are locked up abroad unjustly and will be in there for the rest of their life. No, this is a matter of life and death.
They trashed that house. So every time they went to a house, they trashed it. They left the indigenous people there. So they had an opportunity to pick up anything that was left. So it was not all the valuables were, and all the important things were taken away from the house before the fire was set. All the cameras that was with the house that could have shown who came when and where and everything, that was taken. So this idea of what things were burnt up was a damn lie. All the valuables, the refrigerators, the stoves, the utensils, everything was taken out. And I have not only picture proof, but one of the guys who I knew well, he had lived in America for about 15 or 20 years. He was a taxi driver there. He's the one that called me when they were trashing the homes. I asked him to go and take pictures.
Not just Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Australians, everyone that is looking at this situation to understand, don't be deterred to go live abroad and travel. It's your life to live. But your family member, just remember to tell your family members, like, hey, man, don't forget about me when I go over to these places. Don't think because I'm going there, I'm abandoning it. I'm just trying to do something different.
Location. The other thing is, the riot started because the gang leader that was in the prison with them, and this prison is called Turi, got taken out in April when they had a riot, and 20-something of them got killed in that same prison called Turi. And out of the 20-something that got killed, 12 was their friends. Matter of fact, one of them was their roommate. Another one used to work out with them every day with weights. And then one next door to them, which was a black Ecuadorian, was a very good friend of it. They all got killed.
And don't abandon me because I'm doing something different, Continue to support me, continue to pray for me, continue to love me, Just don't be like, oh, man, you went out there to live the fancy. Like, no, I just wanted to do something different. And that shouldn't be wrong.
You got more people traveling, not shutting each other down, but coming together. And so we do have something here. And not only that, out of the love and wanting people to be aware, a lot of people here got videos out that people can go to for almost any area in South America, any country in South America almost. There's a bunch of people that got some videos of traveling brothers that got videos of making people aware, right? And so this is what I mean by be aware, don't be afraid. Be aware, don't be afraid. We got a group, and what makes this group dangerous is we coming together because of a cause. But
I do want
you
to say
can't put a label.
Flour, sugar, even rice. So they used to put their stuff in Ziploc bags. So that's what the police ended up having to walk away with, because the prosecutor, when he realized there was no drugs, he told them collect these bags and as evidence. You know, so that's what they did. Matter of fact, one of the most embarrassing part of the drug trial was when the prosecutor came in, and that prosecutor was selected after about 4 prosecutors said they didn't want the case because there's no evidence.
I do want to add on to that. This is something I live by. I travel often, and I always say to everyone, when I do cheers with somebody, and I say salud, right? And we're about to have a drink together, I say salud to la vida es de relaciones. Life is all about relationships. Build those relationships with people. You never know who you're talking to. You never know when you might need help.
Facts, you guys. You never know when somebody can help you out. You never know what somebody's capable of doing for you. That's why you always want to have a good mindset, be a kind person when you can, and just, not try to, burn bridges. I think, again, the passion and dedication of everybody that was involved who knew the brothers was really instrumental in securing their release and applying pressure to the Ecuadorian government to get them back home. And as you saw, this was a very concerted effort. You're talking about, the last, 3 or 4 years of just, talking to senators, talking to governors, on both the Ecuadorian and the U.S. side, garnering support, constantly having hashtags, being on social media, posting, trying to get donations, trying to get people rallied up to really understand, what the cause is. And again, you're talking about, 2 Americans, 2 Black Americans, 2 Black men, 2 Black lives. A lot of times, again, it's just seen as, Black bodies are being worthless or being less than, or, not being worthy of coverage or help, so this was one of those, instances where, the usual narrative wasn't the narrative, and they were able to, secure their release and be able to come back home, which is just, it's really amazing. And just to tell you guys is how fresh their release was. This was literally, about 3 or 4 days ago from this live now that's being on that the brothers were able to secure their release. So you got to think this how long they had been in for, and we're talking about now in end of 2023, beginning of 2024, they're finally, coming home, and that it just really, brings the hammer down on, sometimes when things happen to you and everything goes dark, it really just is chance and just luck and, odds really being in your favor to, have a favorable outcome sometimes. And, again, the brothers did nothing wrong. They were completely innocent in this whole thing. And they were just the victims of just, evil intentions, shitty people, not the best environment, and, I hope that they can go back to Ecuador and get the property. I don't believe in, I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, hopefully you guys never ever go back there again. And I think, as you heard some of the other YouTubers say, you don't want to travel in fear. You don't want to let things, get to you so much where you just isolate yourself and you kind of, compartmentalize and just lock that away. I think everybody's birthright is to travel, especially as an American. You should be able to go anywhere and see the world, and especially being Black. A lot of us don't get the chance to travel overseas. I know when I first started traveling and I got my passport, a while ago, I went to places and done things that a lot of people in my family didn't get to do, or didn't even live long enough to be able to do, to leave, California or Los Angeles and get on a plane and, go thousands of miles away from home and, to see clear water and, eat local foods and to see, things and the visuals, and it's like, you can't take that for granted, and especially this, your freedom is just so important. I'm going to have more to unpack on everything too, and I'll give you guys more of my thoughts later. I do want to play the coverage featuring their release. Again, shout out to DC Born Rob. He was just very, again, instrumental in all of this. And it was a pretty surreal moment for me too, just following the whole story and seeing the amount of work that was put in, and then knowing that there was this payoff of them being free, because that was the whole point of raising the awareness, was to get the brothers home. That was first and foremost, alive, have them out alive, home was it. So you guys go ahead and enjoy this. This is the last one.
So anyway, I do have news to share, and the breaking news is these out. They're out. They're freaking out. Both of them are out. I met John last night. I met Roger last night. They surprised me at the restaurant. I didn't know he was going to be there. I was just going to meet with the father, and then I show up, and John was there too with his daughter. Man, I can't tell you how overwhelming this is right now and how thankful I am right now. I told you guys I am blessed. And for those who've been watching me for any period of time, I told you, if and when they are freed, my life will be worthwhile. Well, my life is worthwhile. And I'm sorry to say this, but I've been holding this secret for a little while. It's been a minute that because things were being finalized and him leaving and actually him getting out of the country. And then Ronell is still not, he's released, but he's still not in the US. So then we'll be whole. And hopefully I can come back up and meet with everyone together at the same time. But I did get to speak to him via video chat while I was there at the table with John. This is so incredible. He is free. I'm not going to get into the details right now because there's a lot. There's a lot you don't know. This is definitely a book. It's been incredible. And I want to say props to the dad because not too many people have a dad who would go through the fire like that. Like we said last night, it's like, I have to give you all praise. And I told John, your dad was just, he's back and forth all the time, picking up the children, going to court cases, getting documents translated. It's just been a lot. He has been through hell. Two of his sons. John is 31 right now. He went in when he was 24. And Ronell is 40. So just do the math. He was 34 when he went in. So this is an incredible story. I'm overwhelmed. And after I heard that story, I just walked around. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all. And you're hearing DC Rob say that, you're talking about 6, something years, of just injustice and just really, really, again, the words fail me, just to hear that. But they're home. The biggest thing is that they're home, and I think the injustices that happen to them, a bigger light has been shed, I think, on not just the country of Ecuador, their court system, but just how it is, traveling Black, where, being a foreigner, you're not always guaranteed safe passage because of your, American nationality. And just to draw similarities to an experience that I had been through, I didn't necessarily, get kidnapped or anything, but, being, within like the prison system, or jail system, and having to interact with people who don't speak the language as you, is really important to, not take that for granted. I understand and speak Spanish good enough to, get my way around. I'm not fluent in no way, near, shape, or form, but that I was in a situation where I had to, use Spanish, to have an advantage when I was, away for a few days, and it ended up saving my life. And again, I was just lucky. Some of you guys know, I have Panamanian ancestry, and Haitian ancestry as well. And I was around, Mexicans and Costa Ricans, and it was crazy. Like as I'm sitting there, there's literally like a divide between the Hispanics, and then you have the blacks, and then I'm like the only Afro Latino with the Hispanics, because I understand, and I could tell them, hey, I want some food, or can you give me extra pants? And there's this Dominican guy who's like a part of commissary, and he's like, okay, hey, I got you. And like that side of my nationality I was able to kick into, which ended up helping me out, and it gave me an advantage of being in there. Now, I couldn't imagine if had I came in, obviously I would have been, on the black side, but it would have been a different experience for me, so I couldn't imagine the brothers being in there, in the Ecuadorian system, which, their, Spanish is a little different from, Panamanian. Like I could, well, yeah, like that's crazy. Let's see. Yo, CC, appreciate you, G. Yep, CC gang. It's my brother. Yep, one live at a time. Yes, sir. Yeah, man, I had a whole little episode today that I was doing. So I know some people came in and out. This was more of like a little series that I was doing about the Stephenson brothers. But it's open panel now. So anybody want to hop on, I'll drop the link. Go ahead. It should be pinned. If y'all want to come through and talk or, hang out, I'll be up here for a little bit. But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts about like how y'all felt about, the brothers, or just being overseas. If you ever had a situation where, you were in a bind or something, or like you had to figure things out, and you didn't necessarily know the language 100%, like what did you do? Do you even think that, is there ever a time when you're in a country and you know it enough to where, you can completely avoid trouble, because you got to remember, like they had been going back and forth for a few years, before they decided to set up shop and buy this land, like they did their homework. And then even when they were there, they were still reaching out to the locals and, growing things and trying to like, have a business startup. They were doing like bodybuilding contests and, dealing with some of the other indigenous people. And, it's like, and they still managed to get caught up and this, horrendous thing that happened. So, but, to draw from my experiences, like I said, language definitely helps. If you do go somewhere that's in the Latin or Southern America, definitely Spanish, Portuguese, anything that is the law of the land will help you, even at a basic level. Nobody said you had to be, 100% fluent, because I'm not, and there's days when I forget things that I have to say, and I have to, go on Google Translate and get my mind back running. But, enough to be aware, because you never really want to, translators are good, but you don't really ever want to rely too much on one person to kind of help you navigate, too much. You want to have enough of your mind where, you can catch like subtleties if something's, happening. You're like, hey, okay, I caught that. Or you're like, yo, I'm clocking this, just that awareness is where the bilingualism, or at least, understanding enough to where you hear it, what's going on. Or if you're reading something, you can know what's going on too, all of that helps you, y'all. And then again, just really doing the homework on the area that you're in, and then sometimes you could do all of these things and still be at a disadvantage too. So don't take this list as like, or these things that I'm telling you as foolproof. We're just trying to provide more context. And what the other YouTube brother said, when we travel, we have to be, a lot more organized, or at least have a lot more boots on the ground when we go to places. And we have our Passport Bro communities, we have our Black Man travel groups, and we have other things that creators will put out. They'll give out dates, and you can add on with people and go places. If we can do more of that and kind of have like a real loose knit network of people who might be in different groups, but like we all kind of are aware of each other, and we kind of can ask each other for advice and stuff, I think that'll help cut down a lot too. I do want to say, and not to speculate too much on the Stephenson brothers case with John and Ronell, but I would just think that if there were more travelers or brothers that would have been out in Ecuador, and they had a whole system, where something happens to somebody, immediately they can know something's wrong, or you can kind of get attention on wherever you're at in the country. I'm sure there's no way they would have gotten taken advantage of as much as they did. There is just no way, because again, when you have numbers, there's a power in the numbers. It's only when there's only one or two of you, when you're in a position of weakness, because you don't have the manpower. And this is where the word manpower comes from, or like how you said, Jay-Z said, we don't believe you, we need more people. Like sometimes having multiple bodies and multiple faces can really make or break something. And when we're talking about traveling as Black folks, Black men, it's really important that we have to build up a trust system for when we're all traveling. Now, I know a lot of times too within the community, sometimes people can be solo dolo. There's obvious preferences for who's doing what, or who likes who, but I would hope one day that we could all get to a point where, again, having a loose knit fellowship for traveling everywhere, and there's like certain lines, or even a committee. I don't know how that will look. I don't know how that process would even be. I'm just giving out ideas of things that could help us to prevent things like this happening, like what happened to the Stephenson brothers, what happened to John and Ronell, and what happened with their family and everybody that got involved, so we don't ever have to hear about things like this happening again. Because the next time, who knows if those people would have the same kind of family group or the same kind of community that would go hard for them as the brothers did. But yeah, you guys, it's been a really harrowing episode. I hope you guys all learned something. I hope everybody liked the visuals. I put a little bit of time into this. I know it was a little wordy on certain parts, but there was just a lot of context that had to get out in this story that I felt like was too important to kind of cut out. And I sat through hours of the footage and listening to the lives and and checking in to AD Dos's channel and DC Born Rob's channel, and it was an experience, man. I learned a lot. I never had Ecuador on my list of places to go, to be honest, but I mean, after hearing this, I would probably definitely still go. But again, doing your homework, making sure that you're familiar with the layout of the land, and just like anything else we talk about right on the panels, using your best judgment, trying to stay as safe as you can. But also too, I think a lot of times we fail to mention how detrimental or how important that network is. Having a circle of people that you can tap and being like, yo, okay, I'm going here. Not saying you have to check in every time you travel. We're not saying that, but just knowing that you might have a directory or a list of groups or organizations that wherever you go at in the world, that, hey, if something was to happen, I could hit this number. I could text this WhatsApp. I could, go into this group and put out an APB, press bulletin or something. And I know that somebody, when they see that, they're going to come for me. They're going to tell somebody about me. They're going to notify my family or my loved ones and let them know that, hey, something is wrong and we need to figure out what it is, instead of 5 years go by on a 30-some year sentence and I'm still waiting on justice, y'all. So it's really real. But again, I appreciate everybody for pulling up, whoever stopped by. I'm at an hour and 20-some minutes. I know this has been one of the longest lives I had, I think, since the channel started. I think that first one was like 2 hours. We was on one. But I appreciate all y'all for stopping by. Again, subscribe, share, like, join the membership. We got merch. There's a lot going on in 2024. Salute to the members that were here. I appreciate you. I'm gonna have more value, more content on the way. Thank everybody, y'all, for being here, still rocking with me. Again, without y'all, GC cannot exist without the people. And salute to everybody who might be watching this on a replay. I appreciate you. I know my times are always crazy when I go live. I always seem to go at the most quirkiest times, but I will get a content schedule going on, that'll be more favorable to my East Coast peeps. 'Cause I know there's a lot of you, that 3-hour difference always gets me, but rock with your boy. But yeah, y'all, it's been overly real. Enjoy your Fridays. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. But yeah, Stephenson brothers are home. They are free. Justice has been served. Shout out to DC born Rob, brother. I appreciate you for doing all of the coverage. Shout out to 80 Dose for initially doing the coverage to boost the awareness for the brothers. Appreciate all the other YouTubers that were in the video as well. There was a lot of people, y'all. There was a whole community that was behind this for them to get released. So just know that it took a monumental effort to bring those brothers home, but they are home, and that's what we wanted. So with that, y'all, I am out. It's your boy GC, your favorite ex-mod. Follow me on the socials. Catch me in some of the other panel hopping. Y'all know how I do. And until next time, be easy.
But because that'll be one less niggas getting robbed over me cashing a check. He done tootin' nice, starting to sweat. He cracked the 3rd floor window, took off his shirt and turned the fan on max. All the cash flew out the window, the coat was a mess. Watching 20s, 50s, and 10s blow, as well as myself. As I was falling with the wind blowing, open and stretched, and blew right back in the same purse it all started at.